All right, take two. now that we've figured out the microphones a little bit.
Learning curves.
Yes.
So we're gonna start off who we are. My name's Brandon Sheldon, and
I'm Nolan Eldridge.
we we're kind of we're looking to learn here, and we're looking to grow and share what we do learn with other people. And we're gonna discuss real quick kind of how we wound up into starting of a podcast. Everybody and their brother kind of seems like they're starting a podcast nowadays, but we wanted to join that family, I guess. So Nolan and I met at work. We both work for a local fire department, and we come from two very different backgrounds, but we kind of found common ground of talking about hunting and fishing, and quickly learned, that both of us are pretty green in this, and hence the title Rookie Season. But we found a lot of interest in that together, and we just been trying to learn from each other and learn from others, and that's kind of what pointed us in this direction.
Yeah. I've been hunting for a while now, since I was 10 or 12 years old. But a lot of that was my dad brought me up to Maine, because I grew up in Massachusetts. My dad would bring me up to Maine, and we'd spend 3-4 days at my uncle's cabin. And it was always, he'd lead me into the woods, say, sit here, and he'd come pick me up a couple hours later. There wasn't a whole lot to it. And it wasn't until I moved up here for college when I was 18 and was hunting during college that I really started to learn how to hunt and everything. And even, I will say, when I went to college was about an hour and a half south of where we are now. A lot of farmland, small cuts of wood, very, very different. So even just moving up to where we are now, huge difference now that there's big woods and there's not a cornfield every 5 miles.
I don't even know there's a cornfield in this town. I don't even know you're gonna find that. I was thinking about that the other day when I was out towards Charleston and Corinna, Corinth area. And it's there's a lot of farmland out there, but out this way it's not. But I guess it is wetter. It is more of a wetland where we are. You are living on top of a hill in comparison to me, but my property slopes, and my property is dry, and at the back side of it, it does turn into swamps, and which is great because that's primarily what I like to hunt.
And we said we'd say town names, at least give a little bit. Right?
Yeah. So I live in Greenbush. I own just shy of 20 acres in Greenbush, so I can hunt my own property, which is nice. A little bit more of my background before we jump too far ahead is I don't come from a family that really hunts. My immediate household family, none of them hunted. I got into fishing from my grandmother, which is kind of comical to some people, but my grandmother loved fishing. She had a bunch of trout spots that she always knew, so she got me into fishing. So my love for recreational, game-wise, was started off with fishing, and then in high school, one of my buddies was into hunting, and he was kind of started to get me intrigued by it. And then by the time I was 17 to 19 range, it's probably when I stepped foot in the woods to ever actually try to hunt a deer. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't. And and then throughout my early 20s, I would hunt here and there, but we're talking just a couple times a year, maybe. Maybe give it a couple days of an honest shot, and it would burn out. Then a few years ago, I'm trying to remember what happened, but I put a lot of energy and effort into hunting one season, and I got my first deer, and that just lit the fire. I was 25, I think, when that happened, and I'm 29 now, and this year is probably the hardest and the most effort that I've ever put into a hunting season. I started off of preseason scouting. I did early season scouting, not early season of as far as September, but springtime. I was trying to find a sign left over from the fall to see where they roughly were, and then I incorporated that into this year's hunt, which has helped my odds tremendously. I've seen a lot of deer, just haven't been able to tag one yet. but it's a lot better than what I normally do. I usually go out in the woods and I don't see anything. But I love the scouting aspect of the hunting game. I think almost more than the actual killing aspect.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to paint the whole picture and collectively get there. So
and this is the aspect that we're really trying to capture by doing this podcast, because like Brandon said, we're not going to sit here and claim to be experts on just about anything, but we at least know which way north and south is when we're in the woods.
Yes.
And we're learning, we're getting better, and we're kind of, we wanted to share that with other people, and kind of let others follow along the journey a little bit, and now we can share these successes, like how this year you're seeing more. I mean, I texted you wicked hyped earlier in the week just because I finally found rubs and scrapes after you showed me a couple tricks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, definitely, I'm definitely a rookie to all of this. I've been in the woods a lot because I grew up in the woods, but not. I'm very rookie. Excuse me. I'm very much so a rookie when it comes to actually hunting and finding deer. And Noel and I are both very open to asking questions and learning. I don't mind getting judged in the sense of, like, in this area, I'm 29 and most people shot their first deer at like 12, and I was like 25 or whatever it was, and
I'm 24. I still haven't shot a buck yet. I mean,
so and we just wanted to share that. A lot of people, I think, especially in the hunting and fishing world, I used to make a joke, and some people find it not so funny, but like fly fishermen and bow hunters usually are like the most judgmental type of sportsmen there are for whatever reason, and a lot of people get nervous to ask questions because they don't want to get judged, and I'll ask the question for you because I have no shame in asking questions. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to start a podcast where it's like, hey, we're both learning. We want to learn more. We'll ask questions. We'd like to bring you along with us and see where we wind up at the end of the day.
And it only took us 6.5 minutes into episode 1 to call out a group of people.
I got no shame, man. I just know, like, when I was trying to learn, I thought bow hunting was cool, but you ask questions or you fly fishing, it's wild.
It's
people like to eat you alive. It's like you're supposed to be born knowing how to do this stuff.
Man, I hate to say it, but a bow hunter that we know found out I owned a crossbow, and he still hasn't forgiven me for it.
Yeah, and it's wild because, like, there's a lot of benefits to a crossbow. I see the argument of people when it comes to crossbows. Like, I see it. I can't really say where my stance is because I don't know. I haven't even shot a deer with a bow, so maybe I should get a crossbow. Shoot the thing from 60 yards.
But yeah, like you were saying, we very, very different backgrounds between Brandon and I in terms of.
You're talking into your mouth.
In terms of growing up, growing up in Massachusetts, fishing was huge for me as well. Very different type of fishing. Everything I learned was from my dad, and he didn't believe in freshwater fishing because we were on the ocean. So I'll confidently say this: I can hook into a good sized striped bass any day. Trout and salmon, man, those things are hard.
See, that's kind of, it's weird. But that's like my bread and butter. I feel like I've always been more of a trout guy, like through and through. I love fishing for trout, but I don't know. Salmon's fun to me. It's weird. Like my buddy Zach. Like whenever we go ice fishing, it's almost like an unspoken argument of like how we're gonna set up because he wants the salmon and I want the trout. And if you're ice fishing, you're in two different spots. So it's like that's where it's nice to have like a snowmobile and some binoculars or something where it's like you can still see your traps. I don't know what the technical rule is, but usually what we do is we set up within like 60 yards of shoreline. So it's like I can still see my traps on the shoreline for my trout, but we might be set up a little bit further out so that way he can have his, salmon traps.
Right.
One of those things. However, I don't know how I'd catch a striped bass down there. They're running in our rivers up here now, so I have caught a striped bass before.
One day I want to get you down to the Cape and just get you in my wheelhouse for once.
Yeah. I know, that'd be completely confusing to me. I don't even know how it would function. I don't own any like pink salmon shorts. I don't even know if I'm allowed to go to the Cape.
Take big lure, throw in water.
Yeah.
That's how you catch striped bass.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than a trout.
People buy like a bunch of fishing gear. I'm just gonna buy a bunch of bougie clothes that fit in.
Some vineyard vines.
Yeah.
And a
6-figure
boat, and you've got everything you need.
Done. Yeah, boat worth more than my house. So I don't know. Right now, though, this is hunting season, so I'm not really worried too much about fishing. Ice fishing season's coming. I gotta get a little bit better of a setup. I just don't find I enjoy ice fishing. I just enjoy the open water more. Is what I think my conclusion of it is.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you right now. I think you're going with the wrong people.
Yeah.
No, I'll take ice fishing over open water any day, but I think part of it is too. I don't have a real boat with a motor.
Yeah.
But I can take my 4-wheeler on the ice and get around to any spot I want to.
That's true too. So a lot of my trout spots I go to, I just need a canoe.
Yeah.
But I do get that. I don't know. I don't mind ice fishing. I think it's just a different taste. That's all it is. It's really what it is. It's like, beer and liquor, I think.
Yeah.
It's just a different taste of what you want.
So circle back a little bit. We were talking about how we met. This right here, what just happened? We start a conversation about something, and all of a sudden we just go off on a, let's see, 5-6 minute tangent now about ice fishing and striped bass fishing. This is where our friendship really came from, and we figured other people would like to hear or listen in on this conversation, and I think that right there is just the perfect metaphor of our relationship. The two very different backgrounds and just finding the common ground in the interests.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's nice because we've always been able to talk about it freely with each other and feel comfortable about it. I know it sounds, silly, but there's just some people you can't talk about hunting and fishing with, and it's just always blown my mind. But the two of us have always been, I think, humble enough about talking about hunting and fishing and being open of like, why do you do it that way? Or like, this is what I do. I think you should try it this way, and not take it as someone's, ridiculing you or, kind of putting you down. So here we are, trying to see what we can learn together and learn with, learn with the public now at this point.
Yeah, we I'll say this: we have a piece of paper with a couple bullet points on it that. How have we made it through the bullet points? Or
we actually did make it through the bullet points.
But for the most part, other than the bullet points to have something to circle back to, we do want to try to keep this as much as him and I having a normal conversation, and there just so happens to be some microphones between us.
That's it. Yep. So that would kind of wrap up the introduction at this point.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
And then if you can edit this out right now.
Yep.
So we can just keep talking, and then we'll go into just a little bit more of an in-depth conversation, I suppose.
Yeah, guys. So that's the introduction. Listen in, follow along the podcast. You'll get our successes, our failures in the field. Right now, it's hunting season, as we said, so we're going to be talking a lot about that right now. The past hunts we've had this year and hunts we're planning on going on. As the year develops, we'll get into ice fishing. Ice comes out, we'll get into open water fishing, and at some point we're going to try to do some trapping and hopefully get some other people in the conversation too, and really get some interesting takes on everything that this area of Maine has to offer us and the different pursuits we're after.
Yep. No, we got a few friends that do said trapping. We got a couple guys who are just a typical gun enthusiast. We have some connections here and there, so we'd like to bring them on the podcast eventually and share that with you, and like Nolan said, share our successes and our failures, and we plan on growing outside of the podcast of maybe doing like a YouTube channel and things like that, but we're taking it one step at a time. And so thank you for listening in and joining us. This is Rookie Season.
See you later.